What's going on, guys? Jay the Black here. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in. I want to talk about Garcelle Beauvais. She is making some noise, news-wise, due to comments from her memoir called Love Me As I Am. And she spoke about some things. She spoke about Will Smith too, but that's a whole nother particular subject. But we're going to talk about what she had to say about Michael Jordan. Apparently, her and Michael met when she was a model, and she did some work with the Chicago Bulls, and that's how she met Michael. I haven't seen any concrete timetable, so I'm assuming the timetable is 80s, like right before Michael met Juanita and before she got into her first marriage. So I'm going to say this was probably in the 80s. And she's speaking about this regret that she had about not flying out with Michael Jordan to Hawaii, because that's where things, I think, broke down, because she felt like the relationship was moving way too fast, right? And she has regret because nowadays you got women that will barely know a guy. You know, she only spoke with him in the DMs and she's flying out to go on vacation with him. And she's probably seen that. She see these chicks, you know, meet a guy in the DMs. They have a conversation over a day or so. They may go out on a dinner date. Next thing you know, she's on an island at some resort with this guy, or she done flew out or had flown out to go see him. That's what you see nowadays. You don't really see too much women be like, "Oh no, we're moving too fast." People are moving way too fast nowadays. There is no such thing as moving too fast anymore. And she has regret because I think she feels like she could have had a Michael Jordan instead of what she had. It's almost like she's kind of throwing her previous two marriages under the bus and saying, I would have preferred to have been with Michael than these other guys. But let's get into this particular story. We're going to look at the Yahoo article. It says actress and model Garcelle Beauvais stole the hearts of viewers while playing Francesca Fancy Monroe on the legendary sitcom The Jamie Foxx Show, particularly men who swooned over the stunning beauty throughout the show's 5-season run. In her recently released memoir, Love Me As I Am, Garcelle reveals a number of interesting tidbits about her personal life, including her romantics with famous men in various arenas. Among them was NBA icon Michael Jordan, who Garcelle says she dated during her time as a model after being paired with Jordan for a Chicago Bulls photo shoot. Garcelle, who claims to have had no prior knowledge of whom Jordan was prior to their initial meeting, recalls spending time with the NBA champion over several occasions. I was impressed by how tall and handsome he was. She wrote, he took me on a golf date after the shoot and showed me how to hold a golf club properly and swing. She says she decided to cut things off with Jordan after he invited her on a romantic excursion to Hawaii, which Garcelle admits she wasn't emotionally ready for at the time. Like a naive little girl, I was clutching my pearls and shocked by the idea of going to Hawaii with the man I had just met, she wrote. I blew that one. Well, just like I just told y'all previously, women now do this all the time. You got women meeting men on social media. Next thing you know, they're on a date. Next thing you know, they're in a whole nother country. And I think she sees that as regret, because I think that in her mind, she could have been Juanita. She could have been his wife if she had played her cards right. Which again is interesting because she ended up being married twice right after that. But I think that's how women at the time probably thought. But again, that was a different time. We're talking about the 80s. I'm assuming that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the 80s. And she was a little bit younger then. Jordan was young too. Jordan wasn't an old guy, you know. But in her mind, that's not what you do. But now, fast forward today she sees how women barely know men, but they're already at the dude's house. I did one live stream about a woman that met a guy on the golf course, and 3 days later he's at her house. He has a bag, an overnight bag in her house. Barely know the guy, right? So times have definitely changed in that aspect, you know. According to her Love Me As I Am, Garcelle also dated Will Smith for a short period of time, but decided to bow out after hearing Smith's oldest son Trey mention his now wife Jada Pinkett Smith during a phone call. Well, that was awkward. he must have been dating at the time. You know, that wasn't any open situation. I think, you know, at that particular time, I don't think him and Jada was really that serious. You look at how things ended up with Garcelle and how after that, you know, her acting career took off. Her career in general took off. She went from being a model to an actress in the 90s. She was married 91 to 2000, and then she ended up getting married again in 2001 to 2010, I believe. 2010, 2011. So respectively, she's been married close to about the same amount of time each time. But ever since then, she's basically been perpetually single. But you look at Michael Jordan, he was able to bounce back years later after his expensive divorce. He ended up getting married in 2013, and he's been married ever since. But she, on the other hand, she struggled to really bounce back into a long-term marriage situation. Now that, you know, she's been single for, it seemed like, what, close to 10 years. She hasn't really, now I don't know if she's been dating anybody in between that time. I believe she probably has, but if you look at it, she must have been single too long for her taste, because for her to write this memoir, and she's speaking about how she regrets not getting on that plane and going to Hawaii with Michael Jordan. You know, she regrets she fumbled the bag, because she could have been with Nita. But, you know, she still had a career, right? She's on reality TV now. I don't think financially she's anywhere near where she would have been if she maybe have gotten with Jordan. Who knows how that situation would have played out. But I think that Garcelle, to me, it looks like she feels like the only benefit of her previous marriages was the fact that she had children. It's almost as if she feels like she missed out on a jet-setting life, being the wife of an NBA player. I have said this before. You know, NBA players, to me, are the men of value in our society. Because for her to talk about how she really regrets not getting with Michael Jordan after all these years, and how she was a naive little girl. That's how she framed it. Clutching her pearls. It's almost like she was making fun of herself, not taking that leap and getting into a relationship with Michael Jordan. She feels like she has missed out. She feels like, and again, this is me saying, this is my opinion. I'm not saying this how she feels, but for her to be like, man, I missed the boat. Like, wow, I should have went with him to Hawaii. That minimizes her marriages. Her previous two marriages. And the crazy thing is this, you know, she talked about moving fast with Michael Jordan, but if you actually look at her divorce, her first divorce, she divorced her first husband in 2000, and she ended up remarrying in 2001. That was a very short amount of time to get with somebody new, get to know them, and marry them. Now, it did last for a while, but half of that time together, you know, according to her, he was cheating on her. But she moved on extremely quickly with a new guy. Maybe he hadn't been so new, but that's just my opinion. She just was able to move on quickly from her first marriage to a second marriage. And now, because she's basically been perpetually single for a while, I think that she's thinking about what could have been. A lot of Western women get to the point to where they think about how things could have been. They think about the men they could have been in relationships with. You know, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know, I should have done this. I should have did that. And she's speaking on Michael Jordan. Now, she didn't have any regret about not getting with Will Smith, because, you know, Will Smith was being a player, and he was, you know, with Jada, speaking with Jada and her at the same time. I think she just sees the way women live nowadays, and she feels like that could have been her. She could have been dating the NBA player or married to the NBA player and having the NBA player wife lifestyle, instead of being married to men that she may feel like, and I'm just saying, this is my opinion, may have wasted her time. That's how Western women feel, man. They see how these women are now and they want to live that lifestyle, but they have to understand that those women aren't going to be wives. A lot of those women who are jetting around with this athlete or that athlete, they're not really getting wifed up. They're not. They always end up alone. And Garcelle is alone. And she wrote this book, and the way that she's framing certain things, you could tell that she feels like she's missed out on something. But that's just my opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Like this video and share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see y'all on the next one.